So Scott Ransom is back. So exciting day today, it's new bike day. Myself and Blake have come to Rev's bike park to a Scott launch to pick up the brand new bike that I'm going to be racing in Finale. So this is the all new Scott Ransom, check it out. 170mm travel, you'll get a full bike check very soon, but this is a day for me to just get on the bike, give it a ride, see what I think, try and set it up a bit. Right, first impressions of the Ransom are wicked. Big travel, 170mm, riding some full-on downhill tracks over here, which, you know, the Enduro World Series is going to be like that. So, got a super capable bike. It's going to take me a while to set things up, as it normally does with a race bike. Tweak a few bits, but loving it. It's very excited to put it on my roof rack and take it home. Okay, so I've had the bike for a little while now. I've been putting some hours in on this bike. I'm going to give you a run through all the stats about this brand new Scott Ransom and actually let you know how I set up a brand new bike. So the Scott Ransom is back after about 10 years. So the original Scott Ransom, the previous one, had 165mm of travel, and it was designed to be pedalled up the hill with its lockout and traction control and then rally back downhill. So the brand new Scott Ransom really goes much more along those lines, but a much more modern version of that bike. So what you may have called an all-mountain bike 10 years ago, now to me sounds like it's just an enduro bike, because this is the sort of bike you see those top EWS racers on. Long travel, 170mm travel on this bike. You've still got that Twinloc. You have got an updated lever, more about that later. But you've got the option to run two different wheel sizes as well, so 29 or 27.5, and some pretty sizable tyres, so lots of volume. You can run up to a 2.8 in the smaller wheel size and up to a 2.6 in the 29er. We've also got that new frame layout, so completely different to the old Ransom. This looks much more like those bikes that we've seen Scott introduce over the last few years, like the Spark and the Genius. The Spark is a short travel bike, and you don't see this pivot on the Spark. That's much more about the flex, whereas this bike has a pivot on the chainstay so that it's more active under braking. What about the differences from the Genius up? So Genius is that sort of trail bike, 150mm travel, Ransom 170. You can see there's much more material to it. Around here especially, lots of material for that lower shot mount. That's a trunnion mount actually, but it's just stiffer, and this is the strongest carbon frame that Scott have ever made. They've actually tried hanging a ton of weight off that bottom bracket. Just race ready as well, so you know you really can see these EWS races on this bike. Things like that chainstay protector to make sure that bike is completely silent, and even these cables are routed into the frame so they don't hang underneath the bottom bracket and they're susceptible to any of those knocks of rocks coming up off that front tyre. They've even got a beefed up sort of protection there underneath that down tube. This is the tuned model of this brand new Scott Ransom. This comes with full carbon fibre frame. You've got Fox suspension, so you've got the 36 with the Ep.4 damper up front. Then you've got the Nude TR Evol shock on the rear. So that Nude is Scott's proprietary system that works with that Twinloc, which I'll talk more about in a second. You've also got room with this new frame layout to fit piggyback shocks or a coil shock on there if you need to be. Also space for that water bottle. So the new Ransom uses that Twinloc system as we see on the other Scott full suspension bikes, albeit with a new slimmer, more compact lever on the bar. So you've got that fully open mode used for riding downhill, giving you that full 170mm of travel, then traction control in the middle, and then full lockout. The difference between the Twinloc and other lockout systems is it closes the chamber and it adjusts the damping as well as reducing the travel. So what's that really mean to the bike on the trail? Well, traction control can actually keep the bottom bracket 1 centimetre higher on the flat. But when it comes to riding up a climb on a 15% incline, the head angle will be 1.5 degrees steeper and the bottom bracket can be higher, which gives the bike much better low speed manoeuvrability. So the Fox Nude TR Evol is a big volume air shock, so you can tune that shock as normal with the air spring spacers inside the shock. You've got that normal rebound adjuster there. But something that's really cool, I think, brand new feature, is a way you can adjust the ramp. So you've got a brand new lever here, so you can go minus or plus. And that really affects how progressive this bike is. So even in changing situations, maybe the day gets wet, the trails get gnarlier, you might want to take off some of that progression of that rear shock to make it more compliant. Or maybe you go into a bike park situation, you're hitting big jumps, big G-outs, you can just flick that back to the plus and make this bike much more progressive. So actually at the end of the stroke it's 50% more progressive than if you have it open. So the bike can be linear or progressive just with the flick of a switch. But what about the rest of it? Well, full carbon fibre, as I've said already, same layout as other bikes. You've got a really chunky head tube and sort of bottom bracket lower pivot area to really make that bike stiff. One by only, as you'd expect from this sort of bike. You've got the ability to run really long travel drop seat posts, so on a medium frame it runs a 160mm drop. You've also got all that built in up here, so you've got that new Twinloc lever, smaller than the old one, but also there's less stroke on it. You've got that Fox transfer lever just built into that Synchros grip, so nice clean cockpit. You've also got that one-piece bar and stem, the Hickson, actually with a new sweep just to match really downhill normal alloy bars, and it's 780mm width. So Scott have a big reputation for building lightweight bikes, and the Scott Ransom follows that reputation. So the top end full carbon bike with shock and hardware comes in at 2,650 grams, whereas a lower priced carbon front end alloy rear bikes come in at 3,050 grams. You've also got that flip chip on that top of the shock, so when you're changing between wheel sizes it keeps the geometry really similar. So you've got anywhere between a 64 and a 65 degree head angle on this bike. So long travel, slack, it's actually long reach, you've got a steeper seat angle. It's a really modern enduro bike that by the numbers looks super capable. There you go, there's the brand new Scott Ransom. What do you think of the colours? Bright orange and green. I've been riding the bike with 29-inch wheels on it, and I think that's what I'm going to run at the EWS in Finale. Just a few finer touches to work on my setup, work out tyre pressures, what tyres I'm going to run, things like that. If you want to see a couple of the previous videos building up to my race in Finale, click down there for one, over there for the other. Give us a thumbs up if you like this series of videos, and if you like the bike, leave us a comment.